Mwahahaha. Happy Halloween, my friends. Wait, am I losing my mind? Isn't it the end of April? May 1st is on Friday. Where are we? Why is Halloween in the spring? Aliza, what are you talking about? Witches! This week, we have a full moon in Scorpio, which is basically the springtime equivalent of spooky season. And I am not going to lie, this full moon in Scorpio is eerie, okay? So what does it mean? What does it mean for you? Well, first of all, exes are going to be stumbling from their grave. So expect to be contacted by the living dead. But be careful, honey, because if no one reaches out, that's even scarier, because that means you're the one doing the haunting. Dun, dun, dun! Hello, and welcome to AstroloTea with Aliza Kelly. I'm your host and your spiritual friend, Aliza Kelly, and I am so happy you're here. This is your weekly brew. I'm serving it hot and fresh every single Monday. The theme of the week is you can run, but you can't hide. Ooh, chilling. And the top 3 things to know are, number 1, we have a full moon in Scorpio that is about to reveal everything. And I mean everything that you have been afraid to confront. Number 2, in order for new opportunities to emerge, you have to be willing to release what is clearly not working. And number 3, just because someone is knocking does not mean you need to answer the call. If you are new here, welcome, honey. Hi, hello, what's cooking, baby? Here on AstroloTea, I'm serving on Mondays and Wednesdays, okay? Mondays, I'm giving you a weekly brew to get you set up for the week ahead. That includes your horoscope and a journal prompt and tarot pulls, along with an explanation as to what the hell is going on in the sky right now. And then on Wednesdays, we have a tea party and you are always invited. This is when we steep deep into astrology to bring it all to life. This week's tea party is all about the 12 houses, and it's so divine. Our episodes are available on audio, wherever you get your podcast, but also on YouTube under my channel, Aliza Kelly, and also audio video experience on Spotify, so check it out. Before we dive in, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this brand new podcast in its earliest days. This episode marks 1 month since AstroloTea has been out and about in the world. And if you haven't yet, I would so deeply appreciate if you could just take a brief moment, a second really, to rate the show, 5 stars, to review, and to follow us. To share your favorite moments on social, to tell your friends, to tell your enemies, tea, we want them here too. And be sure to follow wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for being part of our community. And also, oh my God, hello, my Los Angeles show is happening so soon. It is called Aliza's Tea Party. It's a live astrology show, and this is a one-night-only event. It's happening on Thursday, May 14th at 7:30 p.m. at the Elysian Theater. And honey, you are not going to want to miss it. Tea will be spilled, but anything, and I mean anything, can happen. There's going to be astrology. There's going to be thrills. There's going to be chills. I want you to think Rocky Horror meets Walter Mercado, okay? And I'm gonna need you to dress up. Wear a tea outfit. Wear an oversized hat. Wear some gloves, okay? It's a tea party, but it's at night, and it's gonna be wild. Tickets are only $20, and you're not gonna wanna miss this experience. Okay, I have your weekly brew right here, so stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll all enjoy it together. Welcome, my beautiful community, to AstroloTea and to your Monday weekly brew. I am obsessed with the astrology of the week ahead because obviously it's spooky, but it's not scary, okay? We are not scary. We are spooky. And if you don't know the difference between scary and spooky, allow me to explain. A collapsing government, scary. But I am spooky. Scary is your cortisol spiking. Spooky, Morticia Adams, our Lord and Savior. Okay, so now that you know the difference, let's talk about why this week is spooky and what these ookies mean for you. Now, the theme of the week is you can run, but you can't hide. And that is spooky, to say the least, but it's really because we are working up towards the main event of the week, which is a full moon in Scorpio on Friday, May 1st at 11 degrees. It's actually touching down on the East Coast at 3 p.m., which is kind of cool. But of course, adjust that for your time zone to find out exactly when this full moon is going to be shining bright and loud and proud and haunting your neck of the woods. So a full moon is the halfway point of the lunar cycle. The sun and the moon are opposite in the sky, which means it's bringing the drama, okay? It's bringing the heat. The sun is like, I'm 100% right about everything. The moon is like, bitch, hold on. I have something to say. So it's tea, right? It's tea. We love tea. That's why we're all here. It's the TTT. There is a huge T for tension between the two luminaries about what is external, what is internal, what is conscious, what is emotional, what you are aware of, what you feel, what is actually happening, what you want to be happening. And all of that tension creates this dynamic illumination where everything, and I mean everything, is exposed under the light of the moon. We have a nocturnal flashlight, okay? We are going down and shining a light in the basement, but also keep in mind that the things that we see by way of a flashlight are going to look a little different than they do in the light of day, right? Hence werewolves, hence vampires, hence all witchy plot lines unfolding under full moons. And this full moon is the witch's full moon, okay? This full moon is happening in Scorpio, which is, the sign that occurs during Halloween. And this full moon in Scorpio always takes place during Taurus season because the full moon is opposite the sun. The sun in Taurus means that the moon is in its opposite sign of Scorpio. And we are really going to be having a graveyard smash here, okay? Because Scorpio is the sign associated with everything that lives beneath the surface. It's deep in the soil, it's hidden things, it's mysteries, it's death itself. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, Scorpio season occurs during the fall when all of the leaves fall off of the trees and begin to decay. Scorpio is associated with intimacy and trust and power and sex and shared resources and emotional entanglement, psychology, alchemy, the stuff that lives beneath the surface of our life. And this is why I always refer to the Taurus and Scorpio axis as the life and death axis. Because Taurus, which occurs during the springtime, which is all about blooming, the physical manifestation of your reality, your body, your money, your literal fucking garden, requires that Scorpio soil, honey. We cannot bloom without good, nutrient-rich soil, which includes the worms and the decay and the rotting leaves and the carcasses and everything that has to die in order for us to create a healthy and vibrant ecosystem. And part of that is loss, for sure. It's transformation. It's endings, it's merging, it's metamorphosis, it is the emotional and psychological processes that force evolution, it is the full and complete life cycle. And that is what we are getting this week with the full moon. So within the next few days, you are going to realize by way of this full moon that your soil needs tending. And you can run, but you cannot hide from what you need to face. You're going to need to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty, okay? What are you avoiding because you have been afraid to get in there? Why do you keep denying yourself the opportunity to evolve? If you saw everything clearly under this lunation, which you will you be ready to accept the truth and go from there? Now, keep in mind that Venus, which is the ruler of Taurus, is also doing something interesting this week. On Tuesday, April 28th, so before the full moon, Venus in Gemini is making a very positive aspect, a trine, to Pluto in Aquarius. And coincidentally, except there are no coincidences, that's Tank, Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. So we have this sort of like fascinating other perspective on the full moon just a few days before the lunation touches down. And I love this because it's giving us a little preview, a little aperitivo, a little tasty taste, a flash of insight before the full moon delivers the full meal. So pay attention early in the week to what is catching your attention, what is catching your eye, honey, because that is going to be what continues to build as the week progresses and then all comes to life during the full moon. Energy flows where intention goes, but intention is also attention. So what you care about for a reason. You feel me? Listen, you can run, but you can't hide. What you're paying attention to, you are paying attention to for a reason. And there's just one more thing I want to tell you, okay? Just because somebody is knocking doesn't mean you need to answer the fucking door. This is a week where things are going to resurface. People, patterns, old dynamics, weird things you say to yourself, they're all coming back around again because that's the point, okay? This full moon wants you to look at the past so that you can make better decisions for your future. It's like Leda, honey. So, think about like if you had a plant and you killed it by overwatering it, you're not going to overwater the next one, right? Unless you just don't get it, right? You feel me? So if someone is sliding into your DMs, that does not mean you need to slip and slide right on back. This is an opportunity for you to get very clear about why it didn't work then and why it will not work now. You don't owe anyone your time. You don't owe anyone your energy or your attention just because they've decided to pop on up again. Whack-a-mole, honey. So before you respond, ask yourself, do I really want to overwater this fucking plant again? Because this week, your power is in your discernment and choosing what to not engage with. Oh, and if you are the one doing the haunting, T, go off, you freaky witch. I'm not judging, but also try to understand what you are going to get from this dynamic, from this emergence, right? And if you're like, Aliza, I'm just bored and I want to stir the pot, fine. You have my blessings. Do it. But if you're like, I just really miss them and I think, baby, I don't want to hear it, okay? Trust me, trust the universe, trust the timing, trust that better things are coming. And hear me when I say that in a few weeks from now, your whole life is going to look different than it does today. But you just need to be patient, okay? Okay. Try to resist the temptation of this full moon. I know it's sexy and spooky ooky, but don't make it scary. Please don't make it scary. And now, in the spirit of the theme of the week, you can run, but you can't hide, here is your journal prompt for the week ahead. What decision have I been putting off that I know has the potential to immediately change my life for the better? And why have I been denying myself this growth? And now, my friends, let's turn to the other T, the big T, T for tarot, and see what the cards have to say about this spooky, ooky week ahead. If you're new here, oh my God, hello, hi. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Aliza. This is our show. I pull a tarot card every week, which gives us another POV on the energies for the week ahead. And, we track them here. We are still in our early days of AstroloTea, so we have not had any repeat pulls yet. But, it's very interesting to see through time how the tarot tells an adjacent, complementary story. And you know what I say, tank, there are no coincidences. So let's see what the tank of tank is going to be for this full moon in Scorpio week. Ace of Wands. Ha! Ha ha! Okay, so this is the second ace that we have pulled in just a few weeks. Our first show in AstroloTea, you may recall, was Ace of Swords. Now we have Ace of Wands, which, if you don't know, now you know, is one of my favorite cards. I feel like I say this about every card, but I really mean it. This is one of my favorite cards. It's so horny. It is so horny. Look at that dick. Look at that phallus. Look at that hand holding it up. Look at what is sprouting from it. It's giving erection. I'm sorry. Am I being too disgusting? Okay, this is what I mean. This is about fertility, new ideas, creativity, new passions, new lust, new desire, new urges, new vibes, okay? Now, if you are the one who is trying to slide into your ex's DMs and this makes it feel like you should go for it and you are on the fence, like, don't look at this card. This isn't for you. This is for all of us who are interested in new beginnings, okay? Because Ace is new energy. It's fresh. It's in its inception. It hasn't been done before. Ace of Wands is telling us that a new, sexy, amazing, passionate story is underway. It's the beginning of something that's really exciting and really deserves our full attention. Ace of Wands, so gorgeous for new energy, new creation, new ideas, new projects. So if you are ready to launch something, this is saying go for it. Full moons are actually an amazing time to display something and to share something with the world because you get light in the day, you get light at night. So Ace of Wands says, do the damn thing. This is very affirming. We really love to see it. Eee! I love her. Coming up next, I have your horoscope. Yes, I do. So stay tuned. We will be right back after a very brief break. Welcome back, friends. It's time for this week's personalized horoscope. And as always, I want to just tell you two things, okay? Listen for your sun and rising, because together these two placements are going to tell you a more complete story about where this week's themes are showing up for you. And number two, in astrology, Aries is the first sign, Pisces is the last. So every week we're going to go through your horoscope, starting with Aries, ending with Pisces. You know the drill. To find your sign, check the timestamps. Let's go! Hiya, Aries. Okay, so this week we have a full moon in Scorpio, and that is turning your attention to your finances, especially the complicated ones. The freaky ones. I'm talking the debts, the dues, those entanglements, baby. The money that isn't really yours to spend, and yet you're ringing it up anyway. Okay, you feel me? Do you know what I'm talking about? Let me make it clear. I am talking about the money that you yourself did not earn and the emotional consequences that come from having access to it. T. Okay, Aries. There is nothing wrong with being tethered in this way. In fact, all of us are tethered in this way at some point in our life, okay? There's nothing wrong with being tied to others or external variables or conditions or having debt or having loans or having an inheritance go off. Unless, of course, there is something wrong with it, as in your connection to it is feeling less like a cord and more like a chain, you know, more like bondage, like you are actually compromising important parts of yourself in order to remain in this relationship that, I'll say it, is fundamentally imbalanced. Yes, Aries, scalding tea this week. Ultimately, Aries, it's all good and it's all going to be fine. But your homework is figuring out how you can talk about this with the people or the entities that are involved. This full moon needs you to have some honest conversations, even if they're uncomfortable. So talk to your family about how they're still paying for your phone and whether or not it's time to switch onto your own plan. Talk to your partner about how you split or you don't split the bills. Talk to your credit card company about consolidating payments. Whatever it is, address what has been a little off balance, that hasn't really fully been reflecting your current reality, so that you can stop feeling like you have a deep, dark secret that you are actually kind of stressing out about low key, and you can start living with a little less shit to worry about again. Because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We are just trying to worry about less. We are just trying to live more, worry less. You get it? Capiche? Capiche. Hello, Taurus. This week's full moon is so major for you. It is all about your relationships, and it marks a significant turning point in your connections. You may suddenly find yourself breaking free from partnerships that no longer serve you, which is a good thing, but it may happen a bit more expediently than you could have predicted. And I get it, Taurus. You are a fixed sign. You are a slow and steady type of loyal ass bull. But this full moon has a drama to it, and it has an urgency, and you are going to feel motivated to make some big and sweeping changes. And yes, Taurus, you can handle it. And don't even think for a second that you can't. So whether you are ending a romantic relationship or a professional relationship or a weird relationship you have with yourself, this full moon is all about you transforming radically. So don't be afraid to pull the plug on something that isn't working, Taurus. I know that accepting the reality as different from the fantasy, as different from the projection, from the potential can be and feel really, really disappointing. But one time I hired an organizer to help me clear out clutter in my apartment, and she said to me, people often hold on to things because they spent money on them and they don't want to be wasteful. They don't want the money to be thrown out. But the money was spent a long time ago, so it's already gone. And if that thing is just taking up space in your life, then it's actually not doing anyone any favors because you already spent the money, right? And that made such a difference for me. It made such an impression. And maybe that's going to make an impression on you too, Taurus. Maybe it's a little metaphor for how hanging on to something for the sake of hanging on to it isn't doing you any favors. So, under the light of this Halloween-esque full moon, don't be afraid to break free. Hi, Gemini. This week we have a full moon in Scorpio, and for you, it is bringing to light whatever you have been neglecting. Yes, Gemini, it's high drama. Yes, it's high tea. It's high stakes. It's TT. Okay? If you have been wandering astray, wandering in the desert, neglecting your spiritual vessel, aka your body, or even worse, tuning out your intuition, watch out. The full moon in Scorpio is coming in hot, and it isn't afraid to serve crisis. When the moon is bright and in your face, you can run, but you cannot hide. There is literally nowhere to go. The moon sees you. This is your life, Gemini. And this week, you are going to see very, very clearly where you have been out of alignment in your daily life. This could look like realizing that you are constantly putting out other people's fires instead of getting ahead. And you're like, wait, why am I doing other people's jobs? Or it could be noticing that your energy crashes at the exact same time every single day because you're not taking care of yourself. Gemini, are you even drinking water? You are not drinking water. Stop, drink some fucking water right now. Now, it is true that you may get pulled back into an old pattern this week. And whether that's a certain person reaching out, or you're stressed, so you are going back to your default bad coping skills. I'm not judging Gemini. I would never judge. But just remember that the choices that you make define your reality. And just because someone is asking for your time doesn't mean they are entitled to it. So pause before you do something that you regret and ask yourself, does engaging with this person, with this thing, with this project actually support the life I'm trying to build? Does it give me the time to take care of myself? Or am I about to repeat something I already know doesn't work? Because the power of this week isn't just in your realizations, Gemini, it's in your actions. and making better ones whenever you can. Hi, Cancer. Okay, this week's full moon in Scorpio is giving Ace of Wands for you. It's turning up the volume on your desires, baby. Hello. That creativity, that pleasure, that romance, that sensuality, that joy. We love to see it. Cancer, we love to see it. We do. Practically speaking, this could look like you actually leaning into the fact that you know that you deserve to live a good life, leaning into a romantic situation and allowing it to intensify. Maybe the feelings get deeper, the stakes get higher. Maybe you get some important insight as to how they feel about the partnership and you're like, okay, I guess we're a thing. Cancer, it could also be the opposite, because opposites are the same, right? So maybe you have been investing your time and your energy and your attention into something and you're like, this is not hitting anymore. This is not exciting. This is not inspiring. This is not sexy. This feels forced. And Cancer, I know that that could be hard to face. It's disappointing. Maybe it's hard to face because you swore this wouldn't happen again. You were like, I never ever want to be put in a situation where I feel like let down by something I was excited about. But Cancer, that's life. And a bummer is a bummer is a bummer. But find the distinction between a short-term disappointment and a long-term one. Because it's okay to feel whatever way you feel in the immediate. And it's okay for those emotions to last a day or a week or a month, whatever it is, okay? But be honest with yourself. Because Cancer, if this situation is not something that you are going to care about 5 years from now, keep perspective on that in the immediate too. Maybe you don't need to destroy your whole week being heartbroken about something that you were never really that invested in, T. You don't need to convince yourself that something isn't working if it isn't working. And you don't need to panic if something doesn't go the way that you had hoped. Disappointment is information. Passion is information. It's showing you what's real so that you can really connect to the energies that light you up. So instead of spiraling, Cancer, ask yourself, what am I learning? What is all of this telling me? And more importantly, what am I going to do with this information now? This full moon is here to get you back on track with what feels good and what actually has the potential to last and to, give you that desire, give you those feelings of connection, of sensuality, of sexuality that are so important to your creative spirit. That's a sleigh. Hello, Leo. This week's full moon in Scorpio is pulling your attention into a very real tension between your public life and your private life, what the world sees and what's actually going on behind the scenes. Listen, Leo, I'm not trying to pry, but there is obviously a discrepancy that is getting bigger and badder. And if you don't address it right now, it may all come crashing down. And we don't want that to happen, right? So let's get ahead of it, okay? Now, with this full moon, you may realize that something is coming to a head around your career or your responsibilities, a project, a role, a level of visibility that you want, but also is getting a little bright. You know what I mean? It's getting a little overwhelming. Maybe you are on the edge of a burnout. And at the same time, something in your personal life, something at home, something with your family, something in your emotional foundation is also getting a little impossible to ignore. Maybe you've been neglecting your physical environment. Maybe you're not getting enough sleep. Maybe you really need to talk about what's going on with your partner or why you and this significant relative in your life keep arguing. There are going to be some bulky disagreements that you need to acknowledge because, honey, they're blocking the road and you need to get them to move. I mean, come on. You cannot be slowed down by this emotional traffic jam, Leo. You've got things to do. You've got places to be. You have a world to take over. So if something feels like it is cracking a little bit this week, if something feels like, uh-oh, the paint is peeling off, that tension between what you're building and what is actually supporting your growth, don't ignore it. This full moon is not trying to fuck up your life. It's not an eclipse, okay? But you also need to figure out how you are actually going to maintain that wild ambition and show up on an emotional level for the people you care about. Yes, you need to be successful, but you also need to be supported. And you have to be honest about where you are reaching your limits and then make the adjustments that allow you to feel stable in both of these areas of life. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but that's the work you have to do in the next few days ahead. Hi, Virgo. This week's full moon in Scorpio is stirring something up in your mind, in your thoughts, in your conversations, in your day-to-day interactions, diva. And listen, Virgo, I don't want to read your diary. Wait. How dare I say that? Of course I want to read your diary. Tell me your diary. Tell me your most private and personal entries. And then let's talk about how the things that you have been thinking about and writing about and processing on loop are starting to get a little bit obsessive, a little broken record, a little Virgo. Just say it already. Stop obsessing about it and just tell them how you feel. Yes, Virgo, I am talking about how you need to buck up and initiate the conversation that needs to happen. Needs to happen. Maybe there has been a misunderstanding that has been lingering and driving you crazy. Or maybe you said something that you regret saying. Something just doesn't sit right with you as you've been thinking about it. Or maybe you have been trying to rationalize some sort of a dynamic that you know intuitively feels off, right? One of these situations, something is not working. And instead of acknowledging it, you have been spinning out around it. Maybe you're overcommitting. Maybe you're saying yes to too many things. Maybe you're running around like a chicken with their head cut off, handling all of the little million details. I know you can do it, Virgo, but that doesn't mean you should micromanage. This is all starting to catch up with you, and you need to speak on it. Speak on that truth. Ask for clarification. Ask for an apology. Ask for your fucking time back. This full moon demands that you use your voice. So this week, make your truth a top priority. Get out of your journal and get into the real world. Virgo, let's be honest. You thrive when things make sense. And when they don't, like right now, you start glitching. You start making mistakes in places that you would not have made mistakes. You start saying weird things. You start making jokes that aren't funny. Virgo, I don't want you to do that. So figure out what's been bugging you, why you have been in your head, clear it up, and get back on track. You know what you need to do. Coming up next, we have the second half of the zodiac to pour. So stay tuned for your personalized horoscope right after this quick break. Welcome back, community. I have got more piping hot horoscopes. Yes, I do. Let's get into it. Hello, Libra. This week's full moon in Scorpio is bringing up money, the Benjamins, baby. And let's just say it, your standards, okay? Listen, Libra, there is something that is not adding up right now. Something is off. The math is not mathing. And you definitely are looking at some sort of a deficit. And this is not something that you can fix by just like flipping your hair and being the beautiful Libra that you are. Maybe it is, but we have to find another way in. We have to find another way into this situation. Libra, what I'm trying to say is that you have been giving way more than you have been getting, financially, emotionally, energetically. Maybe you're picking up the bill more often than you should. Maybe you are over-delivering at work without being compensated accordingly. Maybe you are investing too much time and attention and care into someone who is not matching your freak. And you know what I'm talking about. And don't forget that we have this Venus-Pluto moment taking place on Tuesday. Venus, of course, is your planetary ruler, and it's forming a grand air trine to your sun. Venus is in Gemini, Pluto is in Aquarius, you're a Libra, and this is going to help you connect the dots and see what you need to see. So under this sky, don't be surprised if something makes you go, wait, why am I doing this? And Libra, don't ignore that because I have the same question. Why are you doing this? So here's the thing. You need to get real about what things are actually costing you, not just in dollars, but in energy and in self-respect. If something isn't worth it, stop pretending it is. And whether you're asking for more or you're doing less, you need to make sure that you balance things out again, that you correct it, that you recalibrate it. Full moons are all about balance, and so are you. So stop subsidizing situations that aren't paying you back and never will. That's tea. Hi, Scorpio. This is your full moon, the only full moon in your sign in 2026. And listen, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but this is a moment. This is your moment. This is your mirror. This is you seeing yourself clearly, maybe clearer than you have in a very long time. Honey, I love when you clean that mirror. And now you are going to realize that something about your identity, something about your presence, something about the way that you have been showing up has changed. And you have been trying to power through that, to ignore it, to pretend like you're still in the same chapter. But why? That's not going to work anymore, Scorpio. The theme of the week is you can run, but you can't hide. And no one knows that better than you, Scorpio. Now, with this full moon, we have found ourselves at a turning point. For you, this is the start of a new chapter. You're halfway to your birthday season, and that means making choices that reflect who you are today, not who you were a year ago, maybe not even who you were last week. Because the thing with this full moon is that it's all about seeing yourself in the present moment, not who you have been, right? Which is really a medley of how people expect you to be. It's recognizing that who you are today is the composite of everything that you have experienced up until this point. And this full moon wants you to step into this present, embodied version of yourself, which definitely may mean that you need to leave something behind. And that might be a role that you have outgrown, not even a professional role necessarily, but a role within your relationships, within the dynamics. It could be a version of your identity that made sense then, but doesn't make sense now. Maybe you don't have to be the caregiver anymore. Maybe you don't have to be the one that drops everything to show up for everyone else. Maybe you can just actually focus on your growth for once in your life. You are in the process of releasing, Scorpio. Don't be scared. This isn't a scary full moon. It's a spooky full moon, but you're not losing control. You are evolving. And your Scorpio essence is so associated with transformation that remember that you are not doing anything wrong in galvanizing this evolution. You are allowed to change. You should change. And in fact, this week, you don't really have a choice. Hello, Sagittarius. Take my hand. Take my hand, honey, because this week's full moon in Scorpio is dragging you inward by the mane. And listen, honey, I know that you would rather be frolicking in the hills. You'd rather be moving and grooving and, anywhere else, but needing to do a deep dive. But unfortunately, fortunately, because this is important, you need to find your inner peace. You need to do some spiritual exploring because something is going on and has been going on beneath the surface, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And if you don't give it your attention now, it is going to become unruly, and not in a cute way, in a serious, mentee-be kind of way, right? Sagittarius, if you feel a little off this week, over the next few days, more tired than usual, a little more sensitive, a little more reactive, a little more tender, and if you're like, oh my God, what's going on with me? Am I ill? Don't worry. It's the full moon. Under the light of this lunation, you are going to start noticing some patterns, some behaviors, some habits, some ways of coping that are going to be very clearly unhelpful. But because these are your hardwired mechanisms, you're going to keep defaulting to them. And the invitation here is to recognize that you don't have to do something just because you've done it before. You are allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change your strategy. You're allowed to ask for a different type of help than you've had access to previously. You're not going to solve every mental health moment this week, right? But you should acknowledge what has been coming up, and you should investigate what it is trying to tell you. Sag, this is about awareness. This is about honesty. This is about letting yourself feel something all the way through. So let me ask you, why are you afraid of your feelings? Ooh, T. Why are you avoiding looking inward by staying busy and staying social, staying in motion? Why are you afraid to just sit with yourself? This full moon needs you to answer those questions so that you can understand yourself on a deeper level. And part of understanding yourself is actually showing up for yourself in every form, in every iteration. And that means honoring the heartbroken parts too. Hello, Capricorn. This week's full moon in Scorpio is bringing your attention to your social life, your friends, your networks, the people that you are in alignment with, baby. And listen, Capricorn, full moons are all about revelations. Yes, they are. They are about discoveries. And you know, the theme of the week is you can run, but you can't hide. So under the light of this moon, it's going to become abundantly clear that a dynamic is shifting. And that means that the community that you were once a part of, well, it's just not the same as it used to be. And Capricorn, I want to remind you that not every person is meant to be in your life forever. Some people are here for a season, for a chapter, for a night, for a very specific version of you. And that doesn't mean that that connection is any less meaningful. In fact, the duration of it, whatever it is the meaning of that dynamic. But maybe this group that you have been part of that has been very supportive, necessary for building from the ground up, you know, you're all scrappy and hustling together. Maybe you don't need to be with those same people because maybe you are at a different phase in your life. Maybe you're at a different phase in your journey, in your healing journey, but maybe even in your professional journey. Maybe there's a specific reason that they were there then, but now it's time to find, you know, some goats who can meet you where you are today. And that is incredibly beautiful and magical, even if it's hard and a little painful to say goodbye. You're evolving, Capricorn, and it makes sense that your environment and your friends are evolving too. So give yourself a moment to process this. You don't need to make any dramatic exits, but you should pay attention to the reality of your situation. So let yourself feel whatever is coming up and recognize, yes, you are growing apart from certain dynamics, and that can be a little sad, but that's okay because you are allowed to be a little sad. Capricorn, this isn't about stacking up loss. It's about staying in motion and recognizing that you can have gratitude and appreciation for the people who have helped you get where you are, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay stuck in a place and a time that is no longer reflective of your reality. You don't want to, you know, grow resentful or bitter or judgy-wudgy of the people that you have cared about the most. So before you get there, give yourself permission to start moving on. Hello, Aquarius. This week's full moon in Scorpio is landing at the tippy top of your chart, baby, which means your career, your reputation, the way that you are being seen by the world is all loud and bright and in your face. Something is culminating. Something is being exposed. And for you, Aquarius, this is really about identifying what that North Star is, where you're going, what you're doing, what you're going to be known for, and whether or not that still feels true to you, honey. Now, this could play out in a few different ways. You may hit a milestone. A project wraps up, your role is shifting, an opportunity presents itself that puts you in a more prominent position, or you may realize that something that you have been working towards isn't actually fulfilling you. It's not getting you closer to where you want to go, and that's kind of tea. Because the moon in Scorpio is going to be at your personal high noon, activating your 10th house of legacy. And that means how you feel about your legacy, because the moon is about feelings and emotions, is probably going to be changing. Aquarius, this lunation is going to help you understand your emotional reality and whether or not you are setting yourself up for success or potentially failure if you keep going down the path that you're on. Aquarius, I hope not, but you need to take this seriously. Ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? What kind of life do I want to be building in the way that I feel every day? And if something is off, even slightly, don't brush it aside, because this full moon is giving you a very clear read on what's working and what isn't. And that's invaluable because Aquarius, honey, collect that information, recognizing that you are not stuck. You could still make adjustments. You can refine. You can change the way you're doing things so that you feel better about the way that your life is unfolding. You want your life and your legacy to be something you feel good about. So don't continue to go down a path that you know is just going to end in disaster. Stop it right now, Aquarius. You can change the course of history for yourself. Hello, Pisces. This week we have a full moon in Scorpio. That's a like-minded water sign. And for you, this is going to be expanding your perspective in a way that feels exciting and disorienting, which is very much Pisces coded. Exciting meets disorienting is the Pisces experience. This week, you're going to be seeing your life from a different vantage. And suddenly, everything that you knew and loved is going to look teeny tiny because you're up on the top of the Ferris wheel and you're like, hello down there. And then you realize from this POV, like, oh my God, everything is so teeny tiny. It's almost insignificant. Yes, honey, you may find yourself craving something different, something bigger, something more, a new experience, a new environment, a new way of thinking. Maybe you're going to start questioning these long-held beliefs that you had about what you can do and what you can't do. And while part of you is energized by that, as you should be, there's also the harsh reality that not everyone is going to get it. Not everyone is going to be on the same wavelength as you, Pisces. And maybe there's something sort of lonely about that. You're not wrong, Pisces, because as your world gets bigger, it becomes harder and harder to maintain certain connections. And you may start to notice this week that you are outgrowing these relationships that once felt like, how could you do anything without them? That you're feeling drained by people who used to fill you up. And these people, these relationships that are trying to get you to stay are actually starting to hold you back. Pisces, I know that your instinct is to accommodate, to empathize, to carry people on your back like the generous mermaid that you are. But this full moon is asking you to recognize that you actually can't do that. You have back problems. Everyone is on their own timeline, Pisces. Everyone is responsible for their own growth. And trying to manage that for them, it's exhausting. It pulls you away from your own path. And frankly, it's not fair to them either. Pisces, you're allowed to expand. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change direction. You're allowed to change your priorities. And honey, so is everyone else. But all you can do is focus on yourself. Focus on your adventures, your big breakthroughs, where you want to go, your experiences in life. Pisces, Focus on truly living your life, and don't let anyone deny you the magic of your own journey. And that, my friends, is all for this episode. What did you think? What did you love? Did your horoscope slay? Let me know in the comments what you thought, and be sure to join me on Wednesday for our tea party. And then next Monday, I'll be back again with your weekly brew, your horoscopes. I'm here every Monday and Wednesday with all new episodes of AstroloTea. And don't forget to rate, review, and follow and subscribe so you don't miss a beat. Thank you for tuning in to AstroloTea with Aliza Kelly. AstroloTea is produced, written, and hosted by me, Aliza Kelly, and brought to life by our wonderful team, Evan Joseph, Grace Hill, Katrin Ree, with original music by Luke Schwartz. Thank you for listening. We love you.